set your subject's eye line. Now, what do we mean by eye line? The line between your camera and your eye. So if you're shooting down low, it gives someone an air of superiority. If you're shooting from up high and they're looking up at it, they look like they're subjugated or they're somehow inferior. So in a documentary, you're not trying to do anything stylistic. You want to be completely honest.
Yeah.
So that would mean that your eye line is going to be exactly the same line as the camera. So when you line it up, it's not high, it's not low, it's right straight on. The other interesting point about eye line is that as a presenter, if you're looking into this camera and I'm next to it like this, you're going to look over at me or distract me.
Yeah.
So for the interviewer, don't have anybody nearby that they're going to look at and distract their view. You do want the interviewee to look just slightly off at the presenter here, just slightly off screen. If their eyes are going back and forth, you want to caution them. Now, let's say you're looking into the camera. So look right into the camera, like this. Now, I'm over here. So your eye comes over to me, right? And it goes back to the camera, back to me, back to the camera. Now, say something to the camera. Do your presentation.
Hi, my name is Diana Nekoye. I am a producer at Vivid Features.
So I'm completely distracting you because I'm right next to the camera there and I'm moving around and you can't focus, right? So when that happens, I want you to look in the camera and say, get out of my eye line. Compose your shot. Look, when people go out with their iPhone and they shoot like this, they just put you plumb in the middle of the screen. It looks awful, looks very amateurish. I want to set you off to one side or the other. It's called the rule of thirds. So in your interview here, we're going to put you on 1/3 of the screen and we're going to put that gazebo on the other third of the screen. Very careful to compose the shot in terms of thirds and also in terms of foreground, middle ground, background. That gives you some sense of depth. So you might have some flowers or bushes in the foreground, you might be in the middle ground, and then we have a background. So composing the shot is what makes it look like a professional shot, so you really want to work at making it look great. We talk about the rule of thirds. Here we have the thirds, 1/3 here, 1/3 there. Diana, move a little bit more to your right, just a little bit there. So now we have the gazebo here, this third. We have her in this third. She'll always be looking back at me, but it's a great classic shot. So in setting up this shoot, Diana, we have what's called the 180-degree rule. You want to have a line, and let's say this is a line right here. You don't want to break that. In other words, both of your cameras have to be on that side of the line. If you cross this line, then you and I, once the viewers saw it on camera, would both be looking the same direction. Say both looking left or both looking right, which is extremely odd. And this is how it looks as if we're having a real conversation with each other.
Yeah. Okay.
One camera set on me, shooting the person doing the questions.
Yeah.
And then the other camera here we'll use on you. But now, as you saw, we had a very wide lens, which is the 24mm lens. I had to come in here to even make it look halfway decent. Then what I'll do is I'll use the 50mm lens, come a little further back, and I want to set it up so it's very close to over my shoulder so that my head's pretty close to it, so that your eye line is directed almost exactly to the camera. The further you are off of the eye line or the camera, the more impersonal it is, and it's sort of an odd 1980s look as opposed to one that's just slightly off like this rather than all the way over here. So your audience will forgive you bad picture, that if it's a little out of focus, a little overexposed, a little wobbly, an audience understands you're doing a documentary, it may not be perfect. But your audience will never forgive you bad sound. The one fault of these cameras is they don't have very good sound on board. That 7D right there has what's called automatic gain control, which goes, "Meow." So you might have a background noise that actually overwhelms the person you're interviewing. 5D is a little bit better. It has manual control. We now have this on manual control. But again, it's not really professional quality sound. So what a lot of us do is we use these recorders. This particular one is an H4n. It's very popular. You can actually see the sound levels up here as I press the pre-record button there. And what I want to do is to adjust this. So there's a record level on the side here. I can adjust it up and down so I have the right sound. Now, these mics here allow me to record directly to them. But the trick is, you probably want to have a mic right on the person that you're interviewing. And there are two choices. If you want to spend the money, you can have a wireless mic here. And we actually already have one on Diana. That then plugs in here. There are 4 channels on this. But here's what I would call the poor man's wireless. You have a wired mic, so you're not worried about batteries. It's much more reliable. I'm going to actually take this and plug this in here. So now I can see I have an extra channel come up here. And I'm going to ask you to just throw this in under your shirt so it comes right up here. I'll look away. You can put a little tape there or whatever so that it is in the right position. And now I can look at your level here. There's actually a third level that's shown up on this.
Okay.
And then what I'll do is I'll sit in the chair like this, and I could use this as my own mic. I've got it directed up towards me like this. Very cheap and inexpensive way, as
Yes.
opposed to buying expensive wirelesses. And now you have a mic. You want to dress that a little bit, and by that I mean you don't
Oh,
want to
I have
dangly
to cover
cable,
it
so you
up.
may have it around the side to make it professional. So Diana, you asked a great question, and that is, how many channels do we have here? We have 4 channels. It was a huge breakthrough when HD first came along. So with these 4 channels, I have 1 channel, 2 channels, 3 channels, 4 channels. So, for instance, here, I'm using these mics for my own sound. I'm taking and putting this wired mic, which is now on your shirt, which is getting your sound.
Yeah.
I could put a boom mic on this. I can be getting background noise and sound. If I'm doing a music video, I might have one on a guitar, I might have one on a lead singer, one on a drummer. And remember, I've always got backup sound, which is why you want to be very careful to make certain you're also getting good, clean sound on this, because if this goes bad or it gets stolen or you lose the chip, you still get sound right here on the camera. So again, people will never forgive you bad sound. I'm using this H4n recorder here, and a very inexpensive way of doing it is to use a wired mic here. It's a good high-quality wired mic, but much less expensive than the wireless mics. Here's one here. I could also plug this in. I have the wired mic going right here to your shirt. You dress that so it looks
Yes.
terrific. And this way I'm able to capture really perfect sound. It's on a little chip here that I can take out. I can put
Yeah.
that in the side of a Macintosh computer, download it. But the key is, of course, how do you sync the sound with your camera? And the answer is that there's a great program called Pluralize. So you put this on your Macintosh computer, and it automatically syncs it up. But it will only sync it up if you've captured good sound with your primary camera. So you want to make sure this is decent. It looks for the sound waves, it syncs it up, and then you've got perfect Hollywood-style sound. And the interesting thing is, of course, if you're shooting a real Hollywood movie, that's the way they've always done it. You know, when they go slate, when they go
Yes.
slate action, they're actually syncing the sound so that in the studio they'll go and put the two of them together.
Yeah.
So again, you want to have perfect sound. And what I'll do when I'm on the road and I'm trying to get sound with my camera is I'll take and put this on top of my camera like this. I'll have it running the entire time. Like this, and it's a neat way of being able to capture sound.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Do the 2 mics act like a boom, or using a boom is totally different?
So it's a really good question. That is, these particular mics are really probably just going to be good, 3 or 4 feet out. So I can put it on my lap for the interview. It's a great idea. If it's close, it's going to work. But you can actually attach a boom to this. So you go into that XLR port, and there aren't XLRs. Let me just show you what I mean by that. There aren't XLRs that are actually on the camera. This is professional quality sound. It's an XLR. See the 3 points there?
Yeah.
So this then I can plug in here, I'm getting professional sound. So I can plug into this wired mic, a wireless mic, but I could put a boom in here too. So you want to be able to isolate the sound. This afternoon we're going to be out in Kibera, which is one of the biggest slums in the world, very, very tough place to live. And there may be screaming, there may be yelling, there may be cars, there may be noise, and so I want to be able to isolate your sound if you're doing stand-ups, or isolate the sound of your interviewee, so I have very good, clear, crisp sound. What we're going to do now is we're going to put Diana in the chair, and we're going to show you the classic shots that you want to do for an interview. So this is our next shot, and it's the classic over-the-shoulder shot. This shows that you, if you're shooting the documentary and are the narrator and interviewer, are in the shot. If you only have one camera, it may be the only place you actually appear in camera, but you can see that it's a real person doing the interview. So now, I have this camera with a 24 millimeter lens. If you have a couple of cameras, you can always set up a camera slightly further out here so you're capturing the whole exchange here. There's less for sound, but just more for sort of dramatic interchange. And then your main interview camera capturing Diana will be here. And then I'm being shot here. So as I ask questions, I'll be able to capture that. And believe it or not, you can do this all as just one person.